So I'm here with Jason, who's one of the lead designers on Rumbleslam, which is a small-scale fantasy wrestling game.
Yeah, it is.
So it seems like a really interesting game. Can you tell us more about the kind of gameplay mechanics and the design mechanics?
When we designed the game, we wanted something that was going to be super fast, super action-packed. The design brief that I was given by my boss was something that he wanted. You could play it in 45 minutes, and basically the idea was a game that you could play at a gaming club in between games, and the idea was to have something really bright, really colourful, and really fast-paced, and that's what we went with for Rumbleslam. And the characters in it, I think they really get that across.
The characters are very much kind of 80s and early 90s pop culture.
Yeah, that wasn't an accident.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's some really interesting characters, kind of like a fantasy spin on things. So I can see an orc Hulk Hogan down there. That's really nice.
Yeah, gun. The idea was basically, we toyed with the idea of it being futuristic, we toyed with the idea of it being fantasy, because obviously with wrestling you have to have cameras and microphones and all that kind of stuff, and how does that fit in a fantasy setting? So we kind of went somewhere in between, and I think we've come up with something quite unique as a result of it. So
what kind of material are we working with in terms of the miniatures themselves?
As in like the material it's made of? Yeah. It's resin. We get some real slow cast resin, and like that's all new to me as well. I mean, while I design the rules, I actually work in casting the resin now. I make the molds and stuff, and I've had to learn that from scratch, so that's been a bit of a learning curve, but it's been good fun. It's been
and a lot of the miniatures are all like single piece as well, so you can pretty much get them straight out of the box.
Yeah, the idea, because again, Rumbleslam was one of those games where it's a tabletop game, but it's somewhere in between a tabletop game and a board game. We're trying to entice people that are into board games into the wargaming market. Like, that's the kind of approach we went for it, and those kind of people like to take models out of the box and play straight away. So we wanted to keep all of the construction down to a minimal amount. So
it's always good to see those kind of games which are quite busy little follow through here. But,
apparently so.
So when can we expect to see this available? Do you have it available here today?
It's available already. It's on tcombat.com. You can go there and you can order everything you want there. Not all of the wrestlers are actually available yet. They're being released in waves. Everything is available today.
Okay.
But there's a limited amount of all the future stuff, so it's all obviously pre-release stuff. So
you've got a demo game going on today, so we can see how the game.
We've got 3 demo games going on today. Yeah,
so I'll definitely have a go at that later on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, have a go. You'll enjoy it. I guarantee it.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, mate.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So I'm here with Carl from Second Thunder, and I've just been playing a game of Open Combat. I've got to say, really enjoyed the game, but I'm going to give it to you to tell us what Open Combat is.
Okay, yeah. Right, well, Open Combat is a universal skirmish system. What that means is essentially you can use any models you like, and you can stack them up in any way you want. So if you've got half a dozen samurai, or if you've got half a dozen goblins, or whatever you've got, you can play the game because you've got some miniatures. You've got 2x2 board, that's all you need, 2x2 space, good density of terrain on there. You just stat up what you want and play what you want, essentially. You've got total freedom. Now, the key thing with it is that there are samples and lists in the rulebook, but when you come to actually building your warband, you can use them for speeding up building your warbands and get an idea out of it. But you can create the synergies, or you can create, if you've got an idea for how goblins should be, they don't all have to be the same. It's not like the old games where, you know, everything, this is your goblin list, this is your dwarf list, and every stat's the same for every single model. In this one, you can have that heroic goblin, you can have that sneaky little dude that runs around the corners, you can have that guy that's actually really fast, you can do what you can, almost that sort of cinematic kind of character, and it gets that narrative into your games basically, because there's more story to it.
I mean, one of the things I saw was that you can really kind of create rules for the miniatures themselves.
Yes.
So if there's a miniature you really like, you can create rules specific for that miniature.
That's right.
And then it just works perfectly.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can get a lot out of your miniatures as well, because it's like you can play it one day one way, and then a few weeks later when you have another game you might use the same model but have him totally different if you wanted to, you know, because there was a guy that I think it was in the Games Expo in June last year, there was a guy who came to me, he was actually travelling out to Taiwan, and he got very minimal luggage he could take, so he got 24 models with him, took Open Combat with him, and it meant that he could have different games for his entire 12 months he was out there working, because he could stack them up differently every time, and he could play differently with a small, only a 2x2 area. He didn't have to use very much, but he could still keep his hobby going while he was out working. So
it's really interesting. You know, I mean, the demo game that I played, the rule set's really nice and easy to pick up as well.
Yeah.
Very simple mechanics. Is that kind of what you aimed for?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of detail in the game, but it's invisible, and that's the key to it. I wanted a game that was very accessible, as much as it feels quite daunting because you've got total freedom. Actually, when you start to play, the game has been built with that total freedom in mind. So the mechanics are balanced regardless of what you do. You can't do things wrong. You know, that's the thing. Everything that you do is based on your own decision making. The rules are there to allow you to do what you want. So if you're wanting to have that guy pushing someone off a cliff, you can push, rather than just clobber them. Like most games are about hitting people till their hit points have gone, whereas this game is about manoeuvring and coming around people and positioning, and that allows much more dynamic games because, you know, as you experienced over there, it's not all about being the one that's clobbering someone.
Lots of different ways to play the game as well. It's not just a straight up brawl, and whoever basically does the most wins.
There's lots of different synergies you can build in your lists. Those sort of things, it's like you say, it's very easy to pick up, but as you play more, you start to realise that some things are actually very, very much working in your favour in certain circumstances. So then you can start to finesse the way you play. And what I found, I've run a few campaign days where we play 5 games over the course of a day with the full campaign rules, and what we found is that people who start the day having only played 1 game, they do just as well as anyone else who's played a few games, but someone who's really played it for a while is the better player individually because of the fact they've understood the underlying sort of techniques. It's not the list they're playing, it's the knowledge that they've got for playing the game.
So one of the things you touched on just was the campaign play as well. Does that allow people to modify their warband as they play through?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. The game itself is written so that you can play one-offs as much as you like, so you can set things up, play out whatever setting you've got. So if you've got particular passion for something, you can play that for a few weeks and then move on. However, if you're the sort of player that wants to play with a narrative going through multiple games with the same warband over a series of games in a particular setting, whether it's Vikings raiding and you just constantly play with the Vikings, or whether it's adventurers doing whatever it is, there is a full campaign system where your warband earns reputation through the campaign. That reputation can be used to advance some of your models so the stats can get better. Guys will get injured, you might need to replace them, or guys may actually die, so you might need to hire new guys. You can get new equipment for them. Other aspects of it as well are that when your models are too injured and you don't want to keep them anymore, you could, if you want to, retire them, but they don't just disappear. You have to roll on a mercenary reaction table and they might turn mercenary and come back to bite you. Right. So basically, there is an underdog system in it, so you can hire mercenaries in the game. So actually, as in some of the campaigns we've played, I've had my own dwarven berserkers come back after me because I got rid of him because he got a head injury, so he was a real liability, and now he comes back and gets me. You know, it's frustrating.
Really nice depth of play.
It is, and there's that narrative aspect as well, because then you get those little anecdotes as you're playing. So you know.
I mean, looking at the rulebook there, I mean, it's just great instructions.
I'll just grab it.
I mean, you can see here it's not a particularly thick rulebook as well. It's quite nice.
100 pages. Yeah.
So everything's in there, including rules for obviously making your own warbands are included in.
That's right. Yeah, everything's in there. The hardback book. It's a 100-page book, but arguably the rules to get you going, the first sort of half of the book, that's got all your stuff for not only playing the game, the mechanics of the game, if you like. It's all got all your creation rules in there, and it's got all your supplements in there, all your scenarios in there. So the first half of the book is everything you need, you know, and then everything else is the campaign system and other hints and tips, and also advice and guidance on how to set up terrain, because terrain's very important in the game.
Yes,
it's like the terrain does it's as much of a model, if you like, because it's not just something you just put there to look nice, because you can push people into it, you can push people off it, you can do everything. So
that happened a couple of times to my goblins trying to climb on a rock, getting knocked off, taking wounds,
and
no, definitely just play. It kind of gives a more three-dimensional.
That's right. Yeah, it makes it a live environment rather than it just being pretty, you know. And I mean, everybody likes it looking good, but when you can use it as well, you know.
So thank you very much for talking to me. Open Combat, I'll pop a link to where people can pick up the rulebook from as well.
That's brilliant. secondthunder.com, that's the website.
I definitely enjoyed the game. It's definitely worth picking up, so do check it out yourself. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks for seeing me.
Hi guys, so I'm with Mal Bose, the Terrain Tutor, the Prince of Polystyrene himself. We're here at Salute. How's it going? How's it working?
It's good. It's busy, isn't it?
It's very busy.
Yeah, I mean, I normally wait till about 1 o'clock until I start filming the tables because it quietens down, and it hasn't quietened down.
You can probably see the crowds behind us. There's tons of crowds everywhere. There's loads of good stuff here as well.
Yeah,
it's really busy.
The traders come out in force, and there's lots of interesting stuff. couple of interesting tables. There's the Jurassic Park table. Have you seen that one? That looks brilliant.
Very nice.
Yeah. There's the, what do you call it? Is it Oshiro Modelling? I've got the big feudal fort right at the back.
I'll check that one out.
Yeah, that's another nice table. And then you've got Freebooters Fate have brought out that beautiful, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really nice. Really nice pirate. I think I've got some shots there. It's really nice pirate.
Yeah, colours work well. And the detail on the scatter is really nice on that. But Salute's eye candy, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's the best. Everyone brings out the best.
Yeah.
Salute. It's really
or they
nice.
try anyway. I mean, sometimes you walk around the corner and there's the occasional dove.
Yeah. But no, there's some really nice stuff here. There's, I mean, I love Salute. Salute's amazing. But yeah. So, what about you then? What are you working on?
Well, I mean, I've just finished off my zombie board, Zombie Apocalypse. It was supposed to be here today. Yeah, it was supposed to be down there, but the standard company I did it for, they've moved the Kickstarter back to the start of May. Yeah, which means they're not releasing any of the details, which means no table, no pictures, no videos. Yeah, so it's sort of like a little bit disappointing because it would have been nice to wander up and go, that's mine, you know, but other than that, I've got a few things, but I'm mainly catching up with the channel since sort of, you know, I've had to disappear to finish the zombie board off because, you know, deadlines and all that sort of usual stuff.
They're boring. So.
Yeah, and it's sort of like getting back on the channel and getting back into it. So I'm mainly doing my own Burma stuff now, my Burma board for my Chindits.
Yes. Oh, Bolt Action, amazing. I've been over to the Bolt Actions. Have you seen the British Paratroopers?
Yeah.
Really nice plastic.
Yeah.
Looking forward to those guys.
Well, what I'm working on getting a battle mat, so I need to go over see the guys at Deep Cut as well. Yeah, because I want to have a look at their battle mats up close and just double check the quality and everything.
I think sometimes, this is a good thing about Salute. You can actually see the models close up.
Yeah, it's hands-on rather than internet purchase.
Exactly.
Whether you make the purchase today, you know, but it's the chance of actually coming on and going, right, let's have a proper look at this.
Yeah.
You know, same with the terrain kits. Picking up, have a look, have a feel.
Like,
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
There's actually some of your work here today, I believe, is there?
Yeah, what do you call it? Foreground over there. Yeah, big frozen table with a mountain on it. Yeah, I did it for last year's, but they keep rolling it out, you know what I mean?
Why not? It's good. If it's good, why not? Keep using it.
I'm surprised it's lasted this long with the hammer it's getting in, to be perfectly honest, but it's still going well, so can't complain.
Excellent. So thank you for talking to me, man.
No worries, man.
Speak again soon.
All right. Catch you later, guys.
I'm joined by Gareth here from Zinge Industries, the creator of many things, resin, miniature based, and so tell us about some of the stuff, kind of things that you do, some of the items and kits.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not really short, it's just that he's quite tall. But we do a lot of accessory parts and so on for war games. We're trying to make models, terrain and so on a bit easier by doing kind of complicated and weird things. So we do flexible resin and so on that's got wire inserted into it so it's pausable, it doesn't crack and so on in your cases. We do some full miniatures as well, particularly a lot of kind of monsters and kind of Lovecraftian horrific stuff around the place. We've a lot of scenery accessories and so on. It's generally primarily aimed at science fiction or modern style, but there's also some fantasy stuff in there, a lot of steampunk stuff in there. We try and cover a lot of different bases. It's generally 28mm heroic. We do some 20mm scale stuff as well for kind of dark future type games.
You've got some of the stuff on display today, and you've even got some like LED little.
Oh yeah, we do an awful lot of electronic stuff. So just showing people how to light miniatures and so on, and the simplicity of it. There's really very little to it. You only really need a battery and an LED. As long as the voltage is all the same, it's very straightforward. So we do objective markers and so on that have little barrel fire pits and so on that just a few pounds, and you can get started with very, very simple electronics, all the way through to doing any kind of colour and style of LED that you would want, and the various batteries to go with it. Everything's available, and we'll advise people if you need a bit of you're a bit afraid of building electrics into your thing. You don't have to worry about soldering irons either, because we do things like cold solder paint. So if you already built a model and you want to put some electronics into it, you're not going to melt your model. So it's things like that that make life a lot easier for, as I say, the person making models and so on.
That's a big kind of gap for people. I mean, I've seen LED models in the past and thinking, I've got to go for wiring. There's obviously the things that you've got flashing and everything like
Absolutely,
that. And it looks really daunting to get involved with it, but obviously you guys make that a lot easier.
That's it. So things like a flickering of fire effect to achieve that. you need a back processor to basically get that random effect. But we've got them built in specifically into the heads of the LEDs so that they do that naturally. I mean, we do on a constant as well and so on. But we're just trying to simplify everything to mean that it's not that hard to actually do it. You know, just to take some of the kind of scurriness away from putting electronics into your miniatures. And again, we do all kind of magnets and so on, and a lot of other bits and pieces of accessories. More or less anything to help you converting and building models, really.
I mean, some of the things that you've got on display as well, I've noticed are perfect for leading. I don't know if we're allowed to say it, but I'm going to say it rhymes with four-bammer.
Yeah,
perfect with those kind of miniatures.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think I've got some of your little breacher shields.
Yes.
Your little shields for power armoured superhumans.
Yes, absolutely.
They're really kind of perfect because they work really well with other ranges, but then kind of added their own little additional item to it. They're not complete copies, but they work really nicely with them.
Well, that's it. I mean, we design everything in-house. The vast majority of things are CAD design, and then I finish them off myself. I hand finish them, I cast, and we do the whole process from beginning to end. We do contract casting as well for a lot of other companies, so we're really involved at birth to death basically of these models. And yeah, absolutely, they will. A lot of things will fit post human super soldiers, or again, there's certain fungal grown aliens perhaps, or just general humans as well. They will fit virtually all ranges between what we do. We try and size everything in that respect. And as I say, a lot of the reason for going heroic is the fragility of doing true scale. As much as you can do it, it breaks in your cases, or it's very hard to build and fiddly, and it doesn't quite pop from a distance. So it's a very deliberate aesthetic we've gone for.
There's quite a lot of I've noticed not just actual conversion parts for other kits as well. You do your own kits, but then also lots of nice little detail items, such as like skulls and shell casings.
Absolutely,
like
yeah. Just things like one of the ranges of things we do is we call forest sprues, which is just basically a very cheap way, basically, of producing a large number of bullets and so on. So you've got them sat on the bottom of the bases. Whereas in the past, people have cast them out of metal and so on, but it's quite an expensive process relatively. Whereas we can sell for a couple of pounds, we can sell 45 different bullets and shells and so on.
Who doesn't want a machine gunner there who's got
absolutely
shells on the base? I mean, that's really nice, kind of little details like that.
Yeah, and it allows you to do that without spending vast amounts of money. And as I say, it allows you to get a lot of. We do things like a range of fantasy things that has tankards and bottles and potion bottles and all that kind of thing, so that you can spruce up those bases and such like, and dioramas particularly. And I say it's just adding that little bit more to your model, just even converting up with especially the Dark Future style stuff. A lot of it's based on the idea of getting a corgi car and making it look like a War Games miniature, so you're not having to spend vast amounts of money. Yeah, as I say, we try and make everything very, very high quality. We don't use massive amounts of release agents and anything, so there's no cleaning.
Nothing worse than painting your miniature and then forgetting you've not quite got into that little nook and all your paint starts chipping off your line.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we take the hit on the mould rather than the little bit extra you get out of it, and of using release agents. We'd rather you have an easier experience building the model and painting it than spending all your time with a toothbrush going, which is not very much fun at all. We've got quite a lot of new stuff as well here today. We've got a good range of extra kind of fancy and monster type models. We've got things like left and right-handed hands just for machine guns and so on. If you're a post-apocalyptic human who wants to be a lefty instead of a righty, then he's absolutely, or even humans and so on. We've got some hands for those. They're not on the website yet. We've managed to get as much as we can made for today, but they'll be coming soon. So
what I'll do is I'll pop a link to your webpage in the description. So if you guys are interested in anything that we've spoken about, seeing more of Zinge Industries products, you should definitely check them out. So thank you very much, Gareth.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.